Millionaire CEO adopted two unwanted kids. What they did years later will break your heart. In the sun-drenched streets of Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Spanish flowed as freely as the Rio Grande, Ethan Caldwell's sleek black car rolled to a stop outside a crumbling orphanage. At 38, Ethan was a millionaire CEO, his tech empire built from sleepless nights and raw ambition. His life was polished: penthouse in Manhattan, private jet, tailored suits, but empty. No family, no roots. The tabloids called him cold, but they didn't know the ache he buried, the one that led him here to two kids nobody wanted. Inside, the air smelled of old wood and hope worn thin. Ethan's polished shoes echoed as Sister Maria, a kind-eyed nun, introduced him to Luca and Isabella. Luca, 10, had sharp brown eyes and a scowl that dared the world to hurt him again. Isabella, 8, clung to her brother, her dark curls hiding a face too serious for her age. Abandoned by parents lost to addiction, they'd bounced through foster homes labeled trouble. But Ethan saw something else: resilience, like his own when he clawed out of poverty. He knelt, meeting their wary gazes. "I'm not here to play hero," he said, voice low, "but I've got a big house and a lot of room. You in?" Luca's jaw tightened, but Isabella's small hand slipped into Ethan's, sealing a pact none of them understood yet. Months later, the kids moved into Ethan's sprawling adobe mansion, where piñon trees whispered secrets in the desert wind. Luca resisted, sneaking out to roam Santa Fe's vibrant plazas, where mariachi music spilled from cantinas. Isabella, though, bloomed, her laughter filling rooms Ethan hadn't known were silent. He taught her to code on his laptop, her tiny fingers flying over keys. With Luca, it was harder. Trust was a currency he didn't spend. Ethan wasn't their dad, not yet. He was a man learning to care, stumbling through bedtime stories in broken Spanish he'd picked up for them. But late at night, he'd find Luca's sketches, raw, beautiful drawings of the family they'd lost, and Isabella's scribbled notes calling Ethan home. His heart cracked open, just a little. Then came Elena, the social worker assigned to check on the kids. She was 32, with warm hazel eyes and a laugh that cut through Ethan's walls. Her Spanish lilt danced as she spoke to Luca and Isabella, drawing smiles they rarely gave. Ethan noticed her, how she listened, how she cared. Meetings at the mansion turned into coffee at a local cafe, then long walks under starlit skies. Was it her, or the family they were building, that made his pulse race? But shadows lingered. Luca's late-night escapes grew bolder, and Isabella's nightmares whispered of fears unspoken. Ethan sensed a storm brewing, one tied to the kid's past, a secret that could unravel everything. As Elena's hand brushed his one evening, promising something deeper, he wondered, could love, so new and fragile, survive what was coming? The Santa Fe sun dipped low, painting the adobe walls of Ethan Caldwell's mansion in hues of gold. Inside, the aroma of Elena's homemade tamales filled the kitchen, a peace offering after a tense day. Luca, now 11, sat at the counter, sketching furiously, his pencil scratching out a storm of lines. Isabella, 9, helped Elena fold corn husks, giggling when sauce smeared her cheek. Ethan watched from the doorway, his heart caught in the warmth of this makeshift family, a feeling as foreign as it was addictive. Elena had become a fixture, her social worker visits blending into evenings of shared meals and stargazing. Her presence softened Luca's edges, coaxing him to talk about his drawings, scenes of a woman with sad eyes. Maybe their mother. Ethan noticed how Elena's hazel eyes lingered on him too, sparking something he hadn't felt in years. Last night, under the piñon trees, her hand had stayed in his a second too long. "You're good for them," she'd said, but her smile hinted at more. Tonight, though, Luca's mood was dark. He'd been caught sneaking out again, this time with a pocket knife Ethan didn't recognize. When questioned, Luca slammed his sketchbook shut. "You're not my dad," he snapped, storming off. Isabella's lip trembled, and Ethan felt the weight of his inexperience. He wasn't a father, he was a CEO, used to solving problems, not soothing wounds. Elena touched his arm, her voice gentle. He's scared to trust. Give him time. They cleaned the kitchen in silence, the clink of dishes a quiet rhythm. When their fingers brushed, Ethan didn't pull away. You ever think about family? He asked, surprising himself. Elena's laugh was soft, wistful. All the time, but it's messy, isn't it? Her eyes held a story she hadn't shared, and Ethan wanted to know every word. Later, he found Luca's sketchbook left open on the counter. The drawing showed a man in shadows, watching a house. Unsettling, too detailed for a kid's imagination. Ethan's gut twisted. Was this a memory? A warning? He tucked the book away, but sleep didn't come. At 2 a.m., he heard footsteps. Luca was at the window, staring into the dark. Someone's out there, the boy whispered, his voice small. Ethan saw nothing but desert, yet Luca's fear was real. The next morning, Elena arrived with news. A letter had come to the orphanage, addressed to Luca and Isabella, no return address. Sister Maria had passed it to her, unopened. Ethan's instinct screamed to burn it, but Luca snatched it, tearing it open. His face paled as he read, then shoved it into his pocket. It's nothing, he lied, but his hands shook. Isabella clung to Ethan, sensing the shift. As Elena left, she squeezed Ethan's hand. Whatever's in that letter, we'll face it together. Her words were a lifeline, but the mystery deepened. Who was watching from the shadows, and why did Luca's eyes hold a secret that could break them all? The Santa Fe dawn broke over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, casting a soft glow on Ethan's mansion. Inside, tension hung like dust in the air. Luca, now 11, hadn't spoken since the letter arrived yesterday. He sat on the patio, clutching the crumpled paper, his brown eyes scanning the horizon. Isabella, 9, colored quietly nearby, but her crayon strokes were too hard, snapping the red one in half. Ethan watched them, his coffee cold, feeling the weight of a storm he couldn't name. Elena arrived, her social worker badge clipped to her jeans, but her smile was all warmth. She'd stayed late last night, talking with Ethan about the kids, their past, and the letter Luca wouldn't share. Their conversation had drifted to dream shores of a family, his of a life beyond boardrooms. When she'd leaned closer, the desert breeze carrying her jasmine scent, Ethan's heart had stumbled. Was this love, or just the pull of something real? Now, Elena knelt beside Luca. You don't have to tell me what's in it, she said in soft Spanish, but you're not alone. Luca's jaw tightened, but he didn't pull away when she touched his shoulder. Isabella crawled into Ethan's lap, whispering, He's scared, Ethan. Me too. Her small voice cracked something in him. He wasn't just their guardian, he was their shield. Ethan took a chance. Luca, whatever's in that letter, we'll handle it. Together. Luca's eyes flickered, torn between fear and trust. Finally, he slid the letter across the table. Ethan's pulse raced as he read, I know where you are. You can't hide forever. R. The words were typed, no signature, but the threat was clear. Who was R? Someone from the kids' past? Their parents? Or worse? Ethan's CEO instincts kicked in, but this wasn't a deal to close. This was family. Elena's face paled as she read it, her hand finding Ethan's under the table. We need to go to the police, she said, but Luca shook his head. No cops. They'll take us away. His voice broke, and Ethan saw the boy's fear wasn't just about the letter. It was about losing this fragile home. Isabella's arms tightened around Ethan, and he made a silent vow. No one would tear them apart. That night, Ethan and Elena sat on the patio, the kids asleep inside. The stars above Santa Fe felt impossibly close, but so did the danger. You're in deep now, Elena teased, her voice soft. Still want to play family man? Ethan met her gaze, his hand brushing hers. For them, for you, I'm all in. Her lips parted, and for a moment he thought she'd kiss him. Instead, she whispered, Good, because I am too. But as they sat, a shadow moved beyond the piñon trees. Ethan's blood ran cold. Someone was watching, and the letter was only the beginning. Luca's sketches, Isabella's nightmares, the mysterious R, they were pieces of a puzzle that could shatter everything. Could love hold strong against a past that refused to stay buried? The Santa Fe morning buzzed with the hum of cicadas, but inside Ethan Caldwell's mansion, a quiet unease settled. Luca, 11, hadn't left his room since the letter from R arrived. His door locked, his sketchbook hidden. Isabella, 9, stuck close to Ethan, her small hand gripping his as they walked through the courtyard, where bougainvillea spilled over adobe walls. The threat lingered like smoke, and Ethan felt its weight. He'd built a tech empire, but protecting this family was a battle he wasn't trained for. Elena arrived, her hazel eyes scanning the house with a mix of warmth and worry. She'd been digging into the kid's past, using her social worker contacts to trace the letter. Over coffee, she shared what little she'd found. Luca and Isabella's parents had ties to a rough crowd in Albuquerque, maybe drugs, maybe worse. R could be anyone, she said, her voice low. A relative, an old associate. Ethan's jaw clenched. He'd hired a private investigator, but answers were slow. All he knew was the kids were scared, and he'd do anything to keep them safe. That afternoon, Ethan found Luca in the garage, tinkering with an old radio he'd found. The boy's hands were steady, his focus fierce, a spark of the resilience that had kept him alive through years of neglect. "You're good with that," Ethan said, crouching beside him. Luca shrugged, but a faint smile broke through. "Mom used to fix things," he mumbled. It was the first time he'd mentioned her without anger. Ethan saw an opening. "You ever want to talk about her? I'm here." Luca nodded, barely, but it was enough. Elena joined them, her laughter easing the tension as she challenged Luca to a mock radio fixing race. Isabella cheered, her nightmares forgotten for a moment. Watching Elena with the kids, Ethan felt a pull stronger than ever. Later, as they washed dishes, their shoulders brushing, he spoke without thinking. "You make this feel like home." Elena's eyes softened, and she leaned in, her lips grazing his cheek. "You're not so bad yourself, CEO." The air crackled, but a crash from Luca's room broke the moment. They rushed upstairs. Luca stood over a shattered lamp, his face pale. "I saw him," he whispered, "outside the window." Ethan checked the yard, nothing but desert shadows. But Luca's fear was real, and Isabella's trembling confirmed it. They'd seen something, or someone. Ethan pulled them close, his voice steady. "No one's getting to you, I promise." That night, Elena stayed late, her hand in Ethan's, as they sat by the fire. "We're a team now," she said, her Spanish lilt wrapping around the words. Ethan nodded, but his mind raced. The investigator had called, a name linked to the kid's past Rafael, a man with a rap sheet and a grudge. Was he R? As Elena's head rested on his shoulder, Ethan felt love and fear collide. The past was closing in, and redemption would come at a cost. The Santa Fe night was thick with stars, but inside Ethan Caldwell's mansion, fear cast a long shadow. Luca, 11, sat cross-legged on the living room rug, sketching again. Frantic lines forming a man's face, eyes cold and sharp. Isabella, 9, curled against Ethan on the couch, her small frame trembling after Luca's claim of seeing someone outside. The name Rafael, dropped by the investigator, hung unspoken, a ghost in the room. Ethan's hand rested on Isabella's shoulder, his CEO calm, masking a racing heart. "Right." Elena paced, her phone buzzing with texts from a contact at the Albuquerque courthouse. She'd spent the day chasing Rafael's trail, a man tied to the kid's parents, last seen near Santa Fe a month ago. "He's got a history," she said, her voice tight. "Assault, theft, maybe more." Her hazel eyes met Ethan's, and he saw her fear mirror his own. But when she sat beside him, her hand slipping into his, it was a quiet promise. They'd face this together. Luca's pencil snapped. "He's coming for us," he muttered, shoving the sketch away. Ethan knelt, picking up the drawing. The face was rough but hauntingly real, narrow jaw, scar on the cheek. "Is this him?" Ethan asked. Luca nodded, eyes wet. I saw him before, when Mom left us. Isabella whimpered, and Ethan pulled them both close. He's not getting near you, he said, voice fierce. You're mine now. The words felt like a vow, carving a place in his heart he hadn't known existed. Elena suggested a distraction, pulling out a deck of cards. In the warm glow of the fireplace, they played Loteria, the Spanish calls Han Chan de La Luna, and El Corazon. Drawing laughter from Isabella and even a smirk from Luca, Ethan watched Elena, her smile a beacon in the storm. When the kids drifted to sleep on the couch, she leaned into him, her breath warm against his neck. You're their hero, she whispered. Ethan's fingers traced hers. Only if you're with me. Her lips brushed his, soft and fleeting, but it lit a fire nothing could douse. Now, the moment shattered when Ethan's phone pinged, a security alert. The backyard camera had caught movement, a figure too blurry to identify near the piñon trees. Ethan's blood ran cold. He showed Elena, who gripped his arm. We can't wait for the investigator, she said. We need to act. Ethan nodded, his mind racing. He'd install more cameras, hire guards, but deep down he knew Raphael, or whoever R was, wouldn't stop. As dawn broke, Luke woke, clutching his sketch. I'm not scared anymore, he said, voice shaky but firm. Isabella nodded, her small hand in his. Their resiliences stunned Ethan, fueling his resolve. He looked at Elena, her eyes steady, and felt love anchor him. But the scarred face in Luca's drawing loomed. Raphael was out there, and the truth about the kid's past was a ticking bomb, threatening the family they'd fought to build. The Santa Fe Plaza pulsed with life, vendors hawking turquoise jewelry, mariachi bands strumming under cottonwood trees. Ethan guided Luca and Isabella through the crowd, his eyes scanning for threats. After the blurry figure on the security camera, he'd doubled the mansion's defenses, but staying locked inside felt like surrender. Today, he wanted the kids to feel normal, even if his gut screamed that Raphael was close. Elena walked beside him, her arm brushing his, a silent anchor in the storm. Luca, 11, clutched a small leather journal, no longer sketching but writing, words he wouldn't share. His sharp eyes darted to every stranger, but he held Isabella's hand, protective. Isabella, 9, marveled at a street artist painting a desert sunset, her laughter a rare spark. Ethan watched them, his heart swelling. They were fighters, carving joy from chaos, and he'd move mountains to keep them safe. At a quiet cafe, Elena sipped horchata, her gaze distant. She'd spent hours tracking Raphael's past, uncovering a link to a bar in Albuquerque where the kid's parents once worked. He's not just a ghost, she said, voice low. He's got a reason to hunt them. Ethan leaned closer, his hand covering hers. Then, we'll find it first. Her lips curved, and in her eyes he saw trust, and something deeper, unspoken. Tatat. Isabella tugged Ethan's sleeve, pointing to a vendor selling woven bracelets. Can we make one? She asked, eyes bright. The vendor, an older woman with a warm smile, taught them to braid vibrant threads, her Spanish instructions melodic. Luca joined, his fingers deft, and for a moment, the weight of fear lifted. Ethan and Elena wove their own bracelet, their hands brushing, laughter mingling. This stays with us, Elena murmured, tying it on his wrist. Ethan's pulse quickened. Her touch was a promise, binding them closer. As dusk fell, the mood shifted. Luca froze, staring at a man across the plaza. Tall, scarred cheek, eyes hidden by a cap. Ethan followed his gaze, heart pounding. The man vanished into the crowd, but Luca's face was ash. It's him, he whispered, journal slipping to the ground. Ethan scooped it up, catching a glimpse of scrawled words. Asterisk. He knows what we saw. Isabella clung to Elena, trembling. Back at the mansion, Ethan read the journal while the kids slept. Luca's words chilled him. Memories of a night their parents fought. A man with a scar. A secret they'd buried. Was it a crime? A betrayal? Elena sat close, her shoulder against his. "They're carrying too much," she said, voice thick. Ethan nodded, pulling her into his arms. "We'll carry it for them." Her breath hitched, and their kiss was fierce, a vow sealed in the dark. But outside, a car idled too long near the gate. Ethan's phone buzzed, a new message from the investigator. "Raphael's in Santa Fe. He's not alone." The bracelet on Ethan's wrist felt heavy, love and danger intertwined. The kid's past was a fuse, and it was burning fast. The Santa Fe sky burned orange as Ethan stood on his mansion's balcony, the woven bracelet from the Plaza tight on his wrist. Below, Luca and Isabella kicked a soccer ball in the courtyard, their laughter clashing with the dread in Ethan's chest. The investigator's warning, "Raphael in Santa Fe, not alone," echoed like a drumbeat. Luca's journal, now locked in Ethan's safe, held fragments of a night the kids couldn't fully name, a secret tying them to a man with a scarred cheek. Ethan was no stranger to battles, but this one felt personal. Elena emerged from the house, her hair loose, carrying a tray of agua fresca. She'd spent the morning calling old contacts, chasing whispers of Raphael's allies. "I found something," she said, setting the tray down. "A woman, Marisol, worked with their parents. She might know what they saw." Her voice was steady, but her fingers trembled, brushing the bracelet on her own wrist. Ethan caught her hand, grounding them both. "We'll find her," he said. "No one's taking them from us." Lucas scored a goal, shouting in triumph, and Isabella tackled him, giggling. Their resilience shone, but Ethan saw the strain. Lucas' glances at the gate, Isabella's clingy hugs. He called them over, kneeling to their level. "You're safe here," he said, meaning every word. Lucas' eyes searched his. "You won't send us back?" Ethan's throat tightened. "Never." Isabella hugged him, and Luca joined, a rare moment of trust. Elena suggested a drive to clear their heads. They piled into Ethan's SUV, winding through desert roads where cacti stood like sentinels. At a lookout, the city sprawled below, lights flickering like stars. Elena leaned against Ethan, her warmth a shield. "I used to come here as a kid," she said, "dreamed of a life bigger than me." Ethan turned to her, voice low. "You're my bigger life." Her kiss was slow, deep, a vow against the chaos. The kids ran ahead chasing fireflies, but Luca stopped short, pointing to a dirt road below. A black truck idled, its driver hidden. Ethan's pulse spiked. It peeled away, dust clouding the air, but the message was clear. They were being watched. Back home, Ethan checked the cameras. The same truck had circled the mansion at dawn. He showed Elena, whose face hardened. "Marisol's our next move," she said. "She's the key." As night fell, Isabella slipped into Ethan's study, holding a drawing. A family, 4 stick figures under a bright sun. "This is us," she said, voice small. Ethan hugged her, his resolve stealing. Luca appeared, journal in hand. "I remembered something," he whispered. "Mom said Raphael took something bad." Ethan exchanged a look with Elena. A crime, a secret, a debt. The pieces were falling, but the puzzle was deadly. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the scent of rain. Ethan held Elena close, their bracelets touching. Love had built this family, but Raphael's shadow loomed larger. Marisol held answers, and Ethan would find her, no matter the cost. The Santa Fe dawn painted the desert in soft pinks, but Ethan Caldwell's mind was a storm. He stood in his study, staring at a map pinned with leads on Marisol, the woman who might unlock Raphael's motives. The black truck sighting had rattled him, and Luca's cryptic memory, Raphael taking something bad, gnawed at his thoughts. Ethan's empire was built on control, but this fight felt like chasing shadows. He touched the woven bracelet on his wrist, grounding himself in the family he'd sworn to protect. Elena was already up, poring over notes at the kitchen table. Her hazel eyes were tired but fierce. "Marisol's last known address is a trailer park outside Albuquerque," she said, sliding a paper to Ethan. "She's been off the grid, but a neighbor saw her last week." Ethan nodded, his hand brushing hers. "We go today," he said. Her smile was small but steady. "Together." The word held weight, a tether in the chaos. Luca, 11, and Isabella, 9, were in the living room, building a fort from blankets. Luca's journal lay nearby, its pages filled with memories he was starting to share. Isabella hummed a Spanish lullaby, her resilience a quiet fire. Ethan crouched beside them. "We're taking a trip," he said. "You two hold the fort, okay?" Isabella grinned, saluting, but Luca's eyes were wary. "Be careful," he said, voice low. Ethan ruffled his hair, a promise unspoken. Tuning. The drive to Albuquerque was tense, the desert stretching endless around them. Elena fiddled with the radio, landing on a soft guitar melody. "This feels like a lifetime ago," she said, gazing out, "running from my own ghosts." Ethan glanced at her. "You don't run anymore." She met his eyes, her hand finding his. "Not with you." The moment was brief, but it fueled him. Love was their armor. At the trailer park, dust clung to everything. Marisol's trailer was weathered, curtains drawn. A neighbor, an old man with a thick Spanish accent, confirmed she'd been there days ago, nervous, always looking over her shoulder. As Ethan knocked, the door creaked open, empty. Inside, papers littered the floor, old photos of the kids' parents, a ledger with coded entries. Elena pocketed it, but a noise outside froze them. A motorcycle revving, then speeding off. Raphael's allies or him? Back in the car, Elena's voice shook. "This ledger, it's about money, maybe drugs. Their parents were in deep." Ethan's grip tightened on the wheel, and the kids saw something they shouldn't have. The weight of Luca's journal hit harder. Witnesses to a crime, now targets. Ethan's phone buzzed, a text from the investigator. *Marisol, spotted in Santa Fe. Hurry. As they raced back, the sun sank, casting long shadows. Ethan glanced at Elena, her bracelet glinting. "Whatever's coming, we face it as a family," he said. She nodded, her hand on his. But Luca's words echoed. Something bad. Raphael wasn't just hunting, he was closing in, and Marisol's secrets could either save them or break them apart. The Santa Fe twilight shimmered with the scent of piñon smoke, but Ethan Caldwell's nerves were taut as he parked near a dimly lit cantina. The investigator's tip placed Marisol here, a fleeting chance to unravel Raphael's hold on Luca and Isabella. The ledger from her trailer, scrawled with coded deals, hinted at a drug ring tied to the kids' parents, and Ethan's gut told him the kids had seen something damning. He glanced at Elena, her hazel eyes sharp with resolve, the woven bracelet on her wrist a quiet vow. They were in this together. Inside the cantina, mariachi music pulsed, and locals laughed over cervezas. Ethan scanned the crowd, his hand grazing Elena's for courage. A woman in a corner booth matched Marisol's description, mid-40s, dark hair streaked with gray, eyes darting like a trapped animal. Elena approached first, her Spanish smooth. "Marisol, we need to talk about Luca and Isabella." The woman flinched, her hand gripping a glass. "I don't know them," she lied, but her voice cracked. Ethan slid into the booth, his CEO calm, masking urgency. "They're in danger. Raphael's after them. Help us." Marisol's gaze flickered to the door. "You don't get it," she whispered. "He'll kill me." Elena leaned closer, voice soft but firm. "We can protect you. Tell us what they saw." Marisol hesitated, then spoke low. "Their parents stole from Raphael. Cash, drugs. The kids were there, hiding. They saw him, hurt someone." Her words landed like a punch. Luca and Isabella were witnesses to a murder. Before Ethan could press further, Marisol bolted, slipping through a back exit. Ethan and Elena chased her into an alley, but she vanished into the night. Frustration burned, but Elena's hand found his. "We know enough," she said. "We'll keep them safe." Her touch steadied him, and in the alley's shadows, he pulled her close, their kiss fierce with unspoken promises. Love was their strength, but time was running out. Back at the mansion, Luca and Isabella were asleep, guarded by a new security team. Ethan checked on them, his heart aching at their peaceful faces. Luca's journal, now shared willingly, lay open, a new entry about a red box their mom hid. Isabella's drawing of their family sat beside it, a beacon of hope. Their courage, despite their past, fueled Ethan's resolve. Elena joined him, holding the ledger. "These codes match places in Santa Fe," she said. "Raphael's still dealing." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. The red box could be the key, proof of Raphael's crimes or the stolen goods. But as they planned, a window shattered downstairs. Ethan grabbed a flashlight, Elena behind him. The living room was empty, but a brick lay on the floor, wrapped in a note. Asterisk, stop looking or they're next. Raphael's threat was no longer a shadow, it was here. Ethan held Elena, their bracelets touching. "We end this," he said, voice steel. The kid's past was a noose, but love and redemption were their fight. Marisol was gone, but the red box was their next move. And Raphael was watching every step. Finish that. The Santa Fe moon hung low, casting silver light over Ethan Caldwell's mansion. But the shattered window and Raphael's note, "Stop looking, or they're next," had stolen any peace. Ethan stood in the security room, reviewing camera footage with Elena. The brick thrower was a blur, but the message was clear. Raphael was done with warnings. Luca's journal mentioned a red box their mom hid, and Marisol's ledger pointed to a Santa Fe storage unit. Ethan's instincts screamed. It was their last chance to end this. Elena's fingers flew over her laptop, cross-referencing the ledger's codes. "Unit 47 on the south side," she said, her voice steady despite the strain. Her woven bracelet caught the light, matching Ethan's. He touched her shoulder, drawing strength from her. "We check it tonight," he said, "before he gets there." Her nod was fierce, but her eyes held worry. "What if it's a trap?" Ethan pulled her close, his voice low. "Then we spring it, together." Luca and Isabella were upstairs under a guard's watch. Ethan found them in Isabella's room, Luca teaching her to fold origami cranes. Their resilience shone through tired eyes, kids who'd seen too much but still dreamed. "You're doing great," Ethan said, sitting beside them. Isabella handed him a crane. "For luck," she whispered. Luca met his gaze. "Find the box, Ethan. It's why he's mad." Ethan hugged them, his heart a mix of love and fear. At midnight, Ethan and Elena drove to the storage facility, the desert air heavy with tension. Unit 47's lock gave way under Ethan's bolt cutters, revealing a dusty space. Amid boxes, a red metal case gleamed. Inside were stacks of cash, a flash drive, and a photo of Luca and Isabella's parents, with Raphael, his scar stark. Elena plugged the drive into her laptop. Files showed drug deals, dates, and a name. Asterisk, Raphael Montoya asterisk. "This could put him away," she said, voice tight. Ethan's jaw clenched. "Or make him desperate." A screech of tires broke the silence. Headlights flooded the unit as a black truck roared toward them. Ethan shoved the case into Elena's arms, pulling her behind a crate. The truck stopped, and a man stepped out. Raphael, scar glinting, eyes cold. "You've got my property," he called, voice like gravel. Ethan stood, shielding Elena. "It's over, Montoya. We know what you did." Raphael laughed, raising a gun. "You think you're their hero? They'll bury you with them." Elena's hand gripped Ethan's, her whisper urgent. "The guard's on his way." Ethan nodded, stalling. "The cops will love that drive," he said. Raphael's smile faded and he fired, a shot grazing Ethan's arm. Pain seared, but Ethan lunged, tackling Raphael. They grappled, the gun skittering away, until sirens wailed. Raphael fled, his truck vanishing into the night. Back home, Elena bandaged Ethan, her touch gentle. "You scared me," she said, tears falling. He kissed her, fierce and alive. "I'm not going anywhere." The red box held their future, but Raphael was still out there, and the kid's safety hung by a thread. The Santa Fe dawn broke with a chill, but Ethan Caldwell's mansion hummed with urgency. His arm, grazed by Raphael's bullet, throbbed under a bandage, but pain was nothing compared to the fire in his chest. The red box sat on his desk, its flash drive now in Elena's laptop, revealing a web of Raphael Montoya's crimes. drug routes, payoffs, and a grainy video of a man beaten in a warehouse, the kids' parents watching. Luca and Isabella, hidden that night, had seen it all. Ethan's blood ran cold. They were witnesses to a murder, and Raphael would kill to silence them. Elena's fingers trembled as she scrolled through files, her hazel eyes fierce. "This is enough to lock him up," she said, voice low, "but we need to get it to the right people." Ethan nodded, his woven bracelet brushing hers as he leaned close. "I've got a contact at the FBI. We move today." Her gaze softened, and she squeezed his hand. "You're bleeding through," she said, rewrapping his bandage. Her touch was a lifeline, love anchoring them in the storm. Upstairs, Luca, 11, and Isabella, 9, sat on the floor, sorting origami cranes. Their resilience stunned Ethan, kids who'd faced hell but still built beauty. He joined them, his voice gentle. "You're the bravest people I know," he said. Isabella hugged him, her crane necklace glinting. "You're our home," she whispered. Luca looked up, eyes older than his years. "Will he find us?" Ethan met his gaze. "Not if I find him first." It was a promise he'd die to keep. Elena called her courthouse contact, arranging a meeting with a trusted detective. But as they planned, the security system beeped. A motion sensor tripped near the back gate. Ethan checked the feed. A figure slipped through the pinyon trees, gone before guards could respond. Raphael was circling, a predator smelling blood. Ethan's jaw tightened. "We're not waiting," he said. "We take the drive to the FBI now." They drove to a safe house in the city, the kids guarded at the mansion. In the car, Elena's voice broke the silence. "If this ends, what's next for us?" Ethan glanced at her, heart pounding. A life together, all four of us. Her smile was radiant, and their kiss was a spark, promising a future worth fighting for. At the safe house, the detective took the drive, promising swift action. "Montoya's a ghost," he warned. "Stay sharp." Back home, Luca ran to Ethan, holding a new drawing, a red box with wings flying free. "It's us," he said. "We're not scared anymore." Isabella nodded, her eyes bright. Ethan pulled them close, Elena joining, their bracelets a circle of strength. But as night fell, Ethan's phone buzzed, a blocked number, a distorted voice. "You can't hide them forever." Raphael's taunt was a blade, and the final fight was coming. Night. Ethan held Elena under the stars, their love a fortress. The FBI was moving, but Raphael was one step ahead, and the kids' courage was their only shield. Redemption was close, but the cost could break them all. The Santa Fe night was alive with stars, but Ethan Caldwell's mansion stood on edge, its lights blazing against the dark. Raphael Montoya's taunt, "You can't hide them forever," had ignited a fire in Ethan. The FBI had the flash drive, its evidence of Raphael's crimes enough to bury him, but he was still out there, a shadow hunting Luca and Isabella. Ethan stood by the window, his bandaged arm aching, the woven bracelet, a reminder of the family he'd fight for. Elena joined him, her hazel eyes steady. "It ends tonight," she said, her hand in his. Their love was a vow, unbreakable. Luca, 11, and Isabella, 9, were in the living room, their origami cranes scattered like dreams. Luca's journal, now a testament to their courage, lay open, his final entry a sketch of 4 hands linked. Isabella's necklace gleamed, her resilience a light that never dimmed. Ethan knelt beside them. "You're my heart," he said, voice thick. Isabella hugged him. "You saved us." Luca's eyes shone. "We saved each other." Their words cracked Ethan open, love flooding the scars of his past. The FBI's trap was set, agents hidden around the mansion, baiting Raphael with a leaked location. As midnight struck, tires crunched outside. Ethan's pulse roared as he saw Raphael, scar stark under moonlight, creeping toward the gate. The agents moved, swift and silent, tackling him before he could draw a weapon. Raphael's snarl echoed as cuffs snapped on it, his empire crumbling. "You'll pay," he spat, But Ethan stood tall, Luca and Isabella behind him. "You're done," Ethan said, his voice steel. The kid's nightmare was over. Dawn broke, soft and golden, as the family gathered in the courtyard. The piñon trees whispered, and the air felt clean, free of shadows. Elena held the red box, now evidence, but also a symbol of their fight. She turned to Ethan, her smile radiant. "We did it," she said. He pulled her close, their kiss deep, sealing the future they'd earned. "Marry me," he whispered, heart bare. Her laugh was music. "Yes, always." Years later, the mansion glowed with life. Luca, now 16, sold his art in the Plaza, his talent blooming. Isabella, 14, coded apps with Ethan, her laughter a melody. Elena, Ethan's wife, ran a community center, helping kids like them find hope. The bracelets they'd woven still adorned their wrists, faded but strong. At a family dinner, Luca raised a glass of agua fresca. "To us," he said, voice steady. Isabella grinned. "To love." Ethan looked at them, tears falling. He'd been a lonely CEO, but these kids, this woman, had made him whole. Under the Santa Fe stars, Ethan held Elena, their kids dancing to mariachi music. The past had scarred them, but resilience and redemption had won. Luca and Isabella, once unwanted, had built a family that broke hearts with its beauty. Their love, fierce and eternal, was the greatest legacy of all. Hey, if you loved this emotional roller coaster of Millionaire CEO, adopted 2 unwanted kids, what they did, years later will break your heart. Show some love. Like the story, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Your support keeps the stories coming, so drop a like, spread the word, and join the journey for more romance, mystery, and redemption.